Do you have a mobile phlebotomy business? And are you struggling to calculate the cost and the pricing for your mobile phlebotomy services? Trust me, this can be a complex process, as it involves a lot of different factors, including labor, equipment, material, and overhead, especially if you're starting out with a patient service center or PSC. So stick around so that I can explain to you a few steps that you can take. And these steps can help you calculate the cost and the pricing for your mobile phlebotomy services. So phlebotomist, I want you to focus on your direct cost. And that's the material and equipment needed for you to perform your mobile phlebotomy services to a patient. So we're talking blood collection tubes, needles, gauze, butterfly needles, hubcaps. And it's also important to include the cost of the laboratory analysis for the specimen. Now, the cost of the laboratory analysis of that specific sample can vary widely. And that's depending on a number of different factors, including the type of analysis being performed, the complexity of the lab tests, and the location of the laboratory. So for example, here are some common lab tests and their approximate cost range. So for instance, a basic metabolic panel, BMP, can range between $15 to $50. A complete blood count, CBC, can range between $25 to $50. A lipid panel can range between $15 to $80, and so on. Next, phlebotomist, I need you to focus on your indirect costs. So if you have a building or a patient service center, we need to talk about overhead. And this is costs such as rent, utilities, marketing expenses, insurance. Also, make sure to include your cost of any certifications or licenses, as well as the cost of ongoing education or training for your 1099 workers. Next, phlebotomist, let's discuss your labor cost. This is including the cost of the 1099 or phlebotomist that's performing the actual service, including the cost of their wages, their mileage, the cost of any unnecessary training, insurance, benefits. But finally, let's talk about your profit margin for your mobile phlebotomy business. Now that you have calculated your total cost, you will now need to determine your desired profit margin. And this will depend on your business goals and the level of competition in your area. And once you've gotten your cost down to a T, you can now do your pricing strategy for your mobile phlebotomy business. Now, taking into account the market price, the competitors, and the value you are providing to your patients, I need you to review and adjust your pricing regularly, as the cost and market conditions may change over time. Who else remembers when a box of masks was $100 and a box of gloves was like $75? It's also important to keep in mind that the reimbursement from insurance providers for the services provided is a key factor that will impact the pricing. I recommend consulting with a billing and coding expert to establish a pricing strategy and to stay up to date with the reimbursement rates for insurance carriers in your area. Now, be sure to share this with a phlebotomist if you learned something, and be sure to follow us on Instagram to learn more business tips with your mobile phlebotomy business.